We are always on the lookout for new fantasy series, so when we heard about Rebel Genius, we thought, perfect.
It sounds like it's doing fantasy a little different. You've got artists with bird-like magical creatures that inspire creativity, a tyrannical government, and a quest for sacred objects.
And it's by Michael DiMartino, the co-creator of Avatar the Last Airbender. And if you have not watched that show, drop what you're doing, drop your whole life, and go watch it. It's that phenomenal. One thing we didn't know going in is it's middle grade. It's very middle grade. It's not so middle grade that you feel like you're being patronized, but it's also not at the level where you feel like it's a story for all ages.
It's in that spot where you're aware that it's not being written for your age group, and it's fine. But you can never forget that you're not the intended audience.
Our story follows Giacomo, an orphan living on the streets of Firenze. The city is ruled by the Supreme Creator, a woman who sees power of the entire country and forbids anyone from having a genius.
A genius is a bird-like creature that comes to a kid when they're about 2 or 3, and the genius serves to boost their master's creativity, making them master artists.
A genius also serves as a conduit for magic, and they're connected to their masters physically. If a genius is injured, so is the master. The Supreme Creator has been known to kill geniuses, turning their artists into lost souls.
Giacomo doesn't have a genius until one night when he's in danger, one appears to save his life.
Giacomo quickly falls in with Master Pietro and his students, Melina, Savino, and Amina, who are all training secretly to find the sacred tools which helped create the universe, tools that can help them defeat the dictator.
The most unique element of Rebel Genius is the magic system. It's based on sacred geometry. And if you're going, what the is sacred geometry? That sounds like a load of crap. Well, you're not wrong. It does sound like the laziest magic system ever.
I mean, it sounds like they might as well be defeating the dictator with the greatest grilled cheese recipe of all time, or the holy nail polish.
But no, sacred geometry is a real thing. It's the building blocks of life. Patterns and number sequences that can be found everywhere, from the spiral of a shell to inside a honeycomb, all the way through to the human body. When they published the book, they did something really clever and included illustrations, so at least you can understand what the characters are talking about when they're referencing sacred geometry.
It allows you to stay immersed in the book rather than getting distracted by all the things they're talking about that you can't quite picture. Saved me a lot of Googling. Sacred geometry is a really cool concept to study in real life and has even been used in systems of magic like alchemy, but as a basis for a system of magic in fantasy, for me it seems a little ridiculous.
It might be because the artist metaphor is the only element of world building in the story. Every story and myth revolves around the artist and their paraphernalia. It gets oversaturated.
Almost like there's no one in the world whose life does not concern art, which seems a little weird.
Giacomo, the main character, isn't awful. He's the type of character you usually think of when you think of a middle grade teenage boy character. Slightly annoying with a little bit of depth.
Giacomo is concerned with fitting in, being liked, and finding his place in the world, which is fairly standard fare for middle grade. He doesn't exactly stand out one way or another.
Neither do his friends. They each have their own subtle personalities.
Amina is the sensitive healer, Savino is the protective jerk, and Milena is the brain.
So you can tell the characters apart from one another, but you've also encountered these characters 50 times before. They're not extremely memorable, and in a story with a fairly standard plot, they needed to bring something new to the table to make the story really shine.
Plot-wise, Rebel Genius is standard as well. It's that classic sacred quest. Find the riddle, locate the sacred object, set out on your quest, run into danger, find new clues, race against time, etc., etc., etc.
DiMartino is not reinventing the wheel. Like the characters, the story isn't especially memorable.
One of the most interesting elements of the story are the two antagonists, Enzio and the tulpa/golem/homunculus Zenobius.
Zenobius is a created being that doesn't need to eat or sleep or even breathe. He has 4 arms and legs and was inspired by the Vitruvian Man. He's controlled by his creator, but he keeps having these darned blackouts and can't remember a lot about his past.
He's going through an existential crisis about his role in life and his own power. He's one of the most complex characters in the book.
Enzio is an unwilling acquaintance of the 4 artists who accidentally gets pulled into the plot surrounding their quest for the sacred tools. His relationship with his father has a lot more depth and seems more heartfelt than anything else in the book.
If you were expecting an amazing, epic bestseller because this book is written by Michael DiMartino, I'm sorry to say you're probably not going to find that in Rebel Genius.
The elements that you expect him to really nail, like the character and the plot, are just okay. Even his writing style is extremely pointed and direct, stripping a lot of emotion from the book.
As for world building, Rebel Genius has a few interesting concepts in it, but it doesn't expand enough on them to capture your imagination or make you feel like Varenza is a real place.
I would recommend this book to the kids who are actually in the middle grade age group, but to everyone else, I'd say this is one you can skip.